Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Ricado of Ricado Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, and we are here with my good friend, Mr. Andrew Branca. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing absolutely awesome. How are you doing, brother?
I'm great. I am ready to do this. Guys, we have a very, very simple twofold agenda tonight, and that is we are going to read this letter that Andrew got. We'll give you the backstory. Some of you may have already seen this, but we'll give you the backstory. We're going to read this letter, and we're going to treat it completely seriously with all the respect it deserves. And then at the same time, we are going to be promoting an auction. And the auction is a charity auction because in this letter, as you'll hear in the backstory, but in this letter, there's a shirt at issue, and the shirt is right there. Look at that shirt. That is a BIPOC friendly shirt, right? Just for all of the soylent you can have in your diet. And it was given to Andrew Branca as a thank you for the very minimal amount of work that he did. And again, we'll tell the whole story. But then they did something. They went and they looked at Andrew's social media account and they demanded their shirt back. They said, "You are forbidden from wearing that shirt, sir." And they demanded he return it, and in the alternative, destroy it, I believe.
Right. Yeah. wait. I'll jump to that paragraph just for the moment. Lastly, the last paragraph.
The last one.
Prior to your presentation, prior to reviewing your social media presence, and prior to learning as a leadership and training team about your interactions with our staff, you were given a public defender t-shirt as a symbol of our gratitude. Please either return the shirt to me at our agency at the above address or destroy it. So we're not doing either of those things.
No,
we're going to auction it tonight.
We're going to put this shirt to much better use. We're going to auction the shirt. The bidding link for the auction is actually in the description on Rumble and YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and actually put that as a pinned comment here on the YouTube chat as well. And here's the deal, guys.
It should be lawofselfdefense.com/shirt.
Oh, I have the gorallyup.com Branca shirt thing.
Oh, that's the longer URL. We have a shortcut, but I'll change the. I think I can do that.
I mean, it's fine. Right? They can just click on this. If they click on this one's fine. But you can do lawofselfdefense.com.
Either one will work. Yep.
And it'll take you to it. So here's the deal, guys. We do not receive any of the money that you bid.
None, not 1 cent.
Zero. It doesn't come through us. It doesn't route through us at all. It is handled by this organization. Will send this to the charity of Andrew's choosing. The charity he has chosen is the California Rifle and Pistol Association, right? Yeah. California Rifle and Pistol Association, which is a 501c3, I believe. Right?
Yes.
So it's a 501c3 charity. And that charity, that organization is actually currently involved in litigation in California over a 30-round magazine ban.
To support the Second Amendment. So the public defenders of Colorado, by giving me the opportunity to auction this t-shirt, I'm sure they love this, are actually supporting efforts to support the Second Amendment. So thank you, Colorado public defenders. I'm sure they're very happy about that.
So now, how does this auction work? So if I bid on it, do I make a contribution of that bid, or is it like I bid and then whoever wins, they pay out like a traditional auction, or is it like a cumulative thing? How does that work?
I have to confess, I don't actually know. I was just trying to embarrass the public defender's office, so I didn't look at the details. Certainly, whoever wins the bid gets the shirt, and their money goes to the charity. I don't think the people who don't win lose any money. I think they don't have to contribute anything, is my understanding.
Oh shit! It's already up to $105.
Oh my gosh! Of course, they're seeing the picture with me wearing it. I did wear it once, folks. I wore it once. I washed it. But if you don't want it, if you like my pheromones on it, the winner, if we get high enough, I'll put the shirt on. I'll wear the shirt and I'll do, let's say, jumping jacks. So you'll get a little Branca pheromones on it.
Okay, here we go. Receive a text message if you're outbid on an auction item. Here we go. I'm bidding on it right now.
What? Nick,
well,
don't do it.
I want to see how it works. Wait, why didn't that password work? God damn it. I want to see so I can tell people like the process of doing this. I'm not.
Oh my gosh. I look like a porn star in that major photo. It's like,
yeah, that's good.
Look at my moobs.
What are the fucking password requirements? Wait, welcome back, Nicholas. I don't remember. I don't remember this. Oh shit.
It's just like,
there, I found it. Continue. Oh my God, I gotta put in a mailing address. Here we go. Here's that. How many times do I have to do this? Setting all this stuff up. State. Oh, I'm in Minnesota. That's right. Okay, so it looks like you put in your bid and you no, I don't want to make an additional donation right now. No,
I think they're $5 increments, folks. I think that's how it was set up.
It's the current bid is $100 and my bid is $105. I'm doing this right now, and we'll do this. Submit bid. I don't want to win this, y'all.
Yeah, by the way, folks, not 1 cent of this money comes to me. It goes right to the California Rifle and Pistol Association, a 501c3 charitable organization. So I never see the money.
And I'm like hung up on the payment method here. So we'll see. Kinetic Shadow says, "Hey Branca, any plans for another Law of Self-Defense platinum discount in the near future?"
Tonight, we're doing it tonight. Yes, of course. Oh, I talked to Nick about this. It's not Nadine, it's Natalie. Natalie, she's so unimportant I couldn't even remember her name. But yes, we're going to do another Natalie platinum discount offer tonight, inspired by the Colorado Public Defender's Office, who sent me this letter of banishment and destruction right out of a Harry Potter novel.
That's phenomenal. I'm trying to place this friggin' bid here and it froze up on me. So here we go. Let me try that again. Submit bid. I want to submit the damn bid. Okay. Yeah, I want to receive a text message so it'll let me know. Continue. Oh my God. I have to.
Oh my God. It sounds horrible, Nick. I'm so sorry.
It's only because it locked up. It's my fault. I'm a boomer. You see. And we're doing
Nick's still working with a Commodore 64.
Like, oh, you don't want to do that additional auction gift, do you? Well, you're getting.
Don't do that. I have no idea what that is. Don't do it.
It supports the organization that's running the site.
Well, that I
don't like that. Okay, yeah. Save my payment information. Yeah. Pump my payments into my veins or out of them. Oh, now I need to update my bid now.
A comment says, "No tie Branca gives off hot dad vibes." You know what? You're absolutely right. And these are hot dad vibes right here. That's why my wife loves me so much.
Okay, come on. There, I got it. Okay, I've upped the bid to $115. Now it's up to it's up to either chat or me on this one.
Nick,
we'll see.
You could potentially own this beautiful I mean, imagine what they paid to print this. Who wouldn't want
to wear that?
Right? I mean, OnlyFans they've been emailing me for weeks to get a hold of this t-shirt so they could wear it on a beach in Dubai.
You think maybe they weren't actually commanding that you not wear it? They were just warning you not to wear it? Don't wear that.
I think it was a command. It was can I jump to the last paragraph of the letter? Because
you did. I think you read it just a second ago. But we'll go through the whole thing in just a moment.
Okay. All right.
But let's talk about the Law of Self-Defense platinum thing real quick. And then just a brief thing. You've got a platinum discount going right now. So you get platinum access for what's the rub?
So we have, hold on. I have something. Of course I don't. So at Law Self-Defense, we provide legal services. We provide legal consultation to your lawyer if you're charged in a use of force event. We did this just recently on a pro bono basis for the Colorado Public Defender's Office. They had a client who was charged with murder, manslaughter, negligent homicide for choking a guy to death. And we got him acquitted of all charges with our legal consult. But we only provide legal consults to our platinum members. In this case, of course, we did a pro bono because, well, the guy was indigent and I felt bad for him. But don't call me and expect a pro bono. I'm not doing it for you, folks. You got to pay me, or you have to be a pro bono member.
Platinum member.
Platinum member. Yeah, there is no pro bono membership. And good Lord, we have. Well, I'll have to find it. But what we're doing tonight is, if you'd like to be a platinum member, have access to that legal expertise for 5 years. 5 years. Plus, wait, there's more.
Wait, I have it. You sent this to me. You sent me this.
Oh, I did, Nick.
Yeah, you sent me this graphic. I didn't realize it's. Hold on. Guys, I can solve this dilemma in just a second.
Right then. That's why I was thrown off.
Where the hell?
I was like, Nick, you already have this, man.
Nobody told me. How did you send this to me? Okay, I got to do this in a weird way. But we have the technology. This is bootleg out of its mind.
No, it's so horrible.
I have to open this in Paint.
Obviously, people should definitely trust me.
Look, guys, it's not his graphic infographic skills here that you're getting. It's the expert legal services. And if he was good at infographics, I would doubt his legal acumen.
Fair, totally fair.
Right.
So
here's my Paint 3D window of this.
That's me. I did that. What a graphic designer I am. I'm amazing. So the kind of legal consult that I got the public defender's client acquitted on charges of murder, manslaughter, and negligent homicide this year, I got him acquitted. You get that legal consultation for free as a platinum member for 5 years, normally $3,000. Plus, we give you our entire law self-defense educational library. We give you our law self-defense advanced course. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
I'm not kidding. There's defense of property. There's defense of self-defense insurance. There's defense against riot, looting, and arson. There's all 3 states, any 3 states you want, self-defense law, specific law. And there's 4 books. 4 books. You're paying attention, Public Defender's Office. There's 4 books. We'll give you 4 books, and we'll give you all those courses, not just as DVD, but as instant access, online access. That's $6,000 worth of law, self-defense, representation, and educational content. We'll give you that for 82 cents a day. 82 cents a day. I know you have 82 cents a day at lawofselfdefense.com/82 cents for 5 years of having me as your lawyer if you're ever compelled to defend yourself, your family, your property. 5 years, folks, 82 cents a day. It's a pretty good deal.
Now I know what you're thinking. You're out there thinking 82 cents. How am I going to do this with the upcoming inflation? The capital market crashes when the global homo agenda comes crashing down into America. But I got to tell you, when it happens, you need to have this. You need to have this. This is your only defense against tyranny. Once you've protected yourself in the streets, you got to protect yourself in the sheets. And the only guy who can do that is Andrew Branca.
By the way, the only people we represent are people who are in this program. So if you're not a platinum member, I'm not available at any cost. So think about it. 82 cents. 82 cents. All right. So
okay. So we're gonna get into this letter, the little backstory to it. We'll do that. But I want to ask a question very important to the bidding. Are you going to sign the shirt?
If the winner wants me to sign the shirt, I will sign the shirt. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, there we go. That answers that question. And if the winner wants me to sign the shirt, we could probably have that arranged too.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, if you want me to sign the shirt, though, it's going to cost you. Me, though. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to cost Andrew to get me to sign the shirt because he'll have to ship it to me and then it'll cost me and then I'll ship it to you guys. So however we work that out, it'll be fine. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in signatures, just let us know what you want. We'll make that thing happen. All right, guys, let's get these super chats. KCC says, Branca, you smell like Front Range. You call yourself local in Vail. Go play pickleball.
Okay, those are all very fair criticisms.
He also says, Branca, do you think burritos covered in green chili is a burrito or a gross enchilada? Because you Front Range scumbags think burritos are eaten with a knife and a fork.
The funny part of that is I've only been here 5 years. I moved here from Massachusetts, so I'm not really Front Range Colorado, but I get the jokes because I see those assholes around, and he's absolutely right.
Someone asked, Malthus says, can we get your wives to sign it? I mean,
it depends on how high the bidding goes. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't see why Lady Raggeds would have any issue signing it, but I didn't ask, so I have no idea. Are you serious? I've been outbid, Andrew. The current bid on this shirt. What do you think the current bid on this shirt is without looking? Don't look.
Okay.
Don't look. Don't look, you vision cuck. You can't look.
110?
$750.
Are you shitting me? All right. I want to remind everybody, not one penny of this comes to me. Okay.
Or
the
me.
Auction. It goes, or Nick, it goes right to the California Rifle and Pistol Association, a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment. They fight Second Amendment cases all the way to the Supreme Court, so they'll be very happy to get that money.
Okay. And this is actually kind of like, again, a weirdly unique opportunity. I know we sound very infomercially here. That's not really intentional. I think that's the liquor, but it's a
little bit intentional.
It is an interesting opportunity because the California magazine ban. We have California. St. Benitez has struck down the ban. He says it conflicts with Bruin, the current Supreme Court jurisprudence.
Obviously,
right. There is no tradition of restricting magazine capacity in America's history. There isn't that. So Branca, I teach at our homeschool co-op. I teach the teenagers, high school and older junior high kids, and I'm teaching this year. I'm not teaching the Constitution. I'm teaching 4 separate liberty issues that would be like important to conservative Christian kids as they go into college and probably have to debate this stuff. And I'm not teaching them the conservative angle. I'm teaching them the history of the jurisprudence through the court so that they're equipped to have an educated discussion, because they already love the Second Amendment. They're already pro-life, so I don't need to give the Christian perspective on those issues. I just give the legal perspective on how we got here. So the first one we're doing is the Second Amendment, and going through it and talking about Bruin as our kind of precursor yesterday. It's it's interesting is the only restrictions that are rooted in the historical tradition of the United States are the southern states restricting by race the ownership of guns. So presumably that would be the only historical restriction on firearm ownership that would be firearm ownership that would be allowed would be restricting Black people from owning guns.
No, there's actually more examples. So we restricted the American Indians, who we gave measles blankets to, and then
you can't shoot a measles blanket, to be fair.
We also prohibited the Irish from having guns because that sounds fair.
We just didn't want them to shoot themselves.
Right. So all the gun regulations were, by modern standards, obviously inconceivably racist. So that's not a very powerful argument for continuing those restrictions today.
And all of those restrictions happened prior to the passage of the 14th Amendment, which would be an operative amendment to make those restrictions particularly unconstitutional. You cannot discriminate by race or national origin.
They mostly happen after. So
Really? But at the state level, not at the federal level.
So the states, what happened was, of course, the South lost the Civil War.
Right.
The 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments were passed. They imposed the Constitution to the states. And then that's when they began to employ these Jim Crow laws, because suddenly they were going to have to let all these black people be armed. And they couldn't have that happen. That would be impossible. I can certainly understand that the people you've been oppressing for 150 years have guns. It might be alarming to you. But guess what, MFer? You're bed. You made it. But they didn't want that to happen. So they passed. That's when we saw the first real gun control laws, was when Southern Democrats were afraid that black people would suddenly have a right to have guns.
Exactly. And it's funny that's basically it up until US v. Miller. And then there's really 4 major Supreme Court cases: Miller, Heller, McDonald, and Bruen. Right.
And so before Heller, Miller was I think the most recent one before, but that was decades before.
1939, I think, or 35, something like that.
And Miller, the named defendant in that case, never showed up.
He died, didn't he?
No lawyer showed. I think he just never showed up.
No, I'm pretty sure Miller died, and then the estate was not paying the attorneys, and so they withdrew, and the Supreme Court allowed them to withdraw right before oral argument,
they still issued a ruling,
which is insane.
You had, what's not normal in American law is you had a ruling issued when there was only one party present, and that ruling is supposed to govern the gun rights of every American citizen all over America. So it's a very defective decision just by that measure. But in our lifetimes, we had Heller from the U.S. Supreme Court, 2008. Then a couple of years later, we had McDonald. A couple years later, 5, 6, 8 years later, we had Catano, which said the Second Amendment doesn't apply only to guns; it applies to weapons generally. And then we had Bruen last year. Bruen, oh my sweet love, Bruen.
Bruin's beautiful.
Bruen actually, for the first time, set out a logical framework for how the lower federal courts were supposed to evaluate infringements on the Second Amendment. And it said, well, first of all, if there's an absolute ban, you don't need Bruen. You just go to Heller. Heller says an absolute ban is an obvious infringement of the Second Amendment. So,
and contemporary writings from the passage of the Second Amendment all support that. They have some different opinions. Some of them said that only weapons of war would be covered. So a handgun would be impermissible or would be permissibly restricted, but a machine gun or rifle that would be used by the military would not be permissibly restricted. And those are people who put a little extra emphasis on the militia clause, the prefatory clause of the Second Amendment. But all of the writers agreed that a total ban would be absolutely against the Constitution.
Right. So what if you're not dealing with a total ban? What if you're dealing with just a restriction, a mitigation of your right? Well, then we get to Bruen. And Bruen says, well, now we have to look at the history and tradition of gun restriction on America, specifically the history and tradition immediately after the adoption of the Second Amendment, or immediately after adoption of the 14th, 15th Amendment, after the Civil War, that applied the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, to the states. And guess what, folks? Spoiler, there is virtually no modern gun control law that can meet that standard, because there are no revolutionary or civil era laws that restrict magazine capacity, that restrict shoulder stock size on a rifle, that restrict whether or not you have a bayonet mount. None. There is no parallel in our history and tradition to support any of these gun control laws.
I would argue Miller doesn't even support it. Like, Miller should not pass the Bruen test.
Miller's just bad law. It's just bad law. It's poorly reasoned. It shouldn't even be seriously considered. I mean, it has to be because it exists, but it's not a real measure of what any reasonable person. But of course, the people who want gun control are not reasonable, right? So we saw that in California. We had someone challenge the California 10-round magazine ban, and they went to federal court, and the federal court said, "No, you're right. That's unconstitutional." And they went.
And that's the California Rifle and Pistol Association,
right?
who did that, that's who the proceeds of this auction are going to as a charitable
Exactly
donation.
right. And they that was appealed by the state of California to a three judge appellate court panel, and that 3-judge appellate court panel said, no, that's absolutely right. that's unconstitutional. You can't have a magazine limit. And of course, the Ninth Circuit, being the Ninth Circuit, the cucks that they are, the despicable cucks that they are, then took that opinion en banc, meaning, oh, let's bring some of our thugs in here to change this opinion out of the normal process. They said, no, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right if we infringe on people's constitutional limits. And then Bruin happened. Bruin happened at the Supreme Court level, and the Supreme Court, on its independent authority, said, guess what? Ninth Circuit, we want you to reconsider your ruling en banc in view of Bruin. And they did. And it went back to the trial court. Trial court said, nope, still unconstitutional, even more unconstitutional now. And the Ninth Circuit does what it always does. When it gets a Second Amendment favorable decision, it just spits out an opinion of word salad, completely ignored the Bruin framework for legal analysis, just said, you know what? We just don't like it that people can have standard capacity magazines. So no, we're going to allow California to continue to ban them.
Now,
that's where we are right now.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually more nefarious than that. So California has, so en banc in some circuits mean that all appellate court judges will hear a case. So you'll have 12 appellate court judges hearing a case and rendering a majority opinion out of that. So the idea is that when you get an appeals case, you're
getting the whole circuit en banc.
Right. Normally you get a 3-judge straw poll, or like a straw poll of 3 judges who will hear your case. And you might get 3 liberals, 3 conservatives, 2 and 1. So you get kind of a mix. When they hear en banc, the whole court typically sits. But California, the Ninth Circuit is a big circuit.
It's so big. It's like they have 40 appellate court judges. And that's too big for en banc. They only pick 11.
Right. So they picked these 11 judges to sit en banc. Now, the thing that they did on the second time around on this case is broke their own procedure and brought back the exact same en banc panel that struck it down before. Going outside their own rules of panel selection for an en banc proceeding. So just beautiful that they've done that.
Yeah. So normally what happens, folks, is you have the district court, the trial court, and federal court. And then if you appeal that, it goes to a 3-judge panel. And then maybe it goes en banc. Very unusual. Usually the Ninth Circuit, they do that every time for gun law cases. Right. But what they did here was it went trial court, 3-judge appellate panel, en banc, Supreme Court, back to the trial court. And then when the trial court said, nope, this is still bad law, this magazine ban has to go, they completely skipped the 3-judge panel the second time around and went right to en banc.
Yeah, it's crazy how they've done this, but that is their thing. Yeah, normally an en banc reconsideration is very strange because what they do is rather they just let the Supreme Court issue a ruling. Like that's how they would handle that. But that's where we are right now. And so the reason I brought all that up and we've now explained it is because just letting you know where your money is going. Your money on this shirt is going to the organization that is currently fighting the 10-round magazine ban in the Ninth Circuit. Well, particularly in California with this case.
But it would apply everywhere.
Right. Everywhere. And it very possibly would be picked up by the Supreme Court to resolve because we could see a circuit conflict on this, especially if they rule against it. So that is where the money's going. It's a great great organization that is actively fighting right now for legitimate Second Amendment rights under the current law in a current case. It's high profile. And just think, your money could pay for one lawyer's lunch break. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Jason of TGA says, Australian referendum going on. Should we vote for the communists that claim to give everyone free stuff or the communists that claim to give everyone free stuff and have fuzzy feelings?
Yeah.
Just the first one. Keep your feelings out of my fucking government.
You know why we have feelings in government, Nick?
No.
Women. That's why.
Shaquille Oatmeal says this dude is really asking for money. It's not for us. We don't get a penny of it.
Well, no. In fairness, the lawofselfdefense.com/82 cents, where you get
that
all of this, I get that money.
yeah,
But the
that's
money you
asking
contribute
for
to
money.
the
That's true.
auction, the auction money goes 100% to the charity.
So there you go. Matthew Self says, "Can you set up a second cam to keep the bidding on screen if that is possible?" It's over $10.50 now. Lamau, correct. It's at $1,085 currently, which is amazing. And it's not really easy for me to set up a permanent second cam because of StreamYard. OBS would let me do it, but OBS doesn't do interviews very well, so it's a pain.
Where are we at now?
1,085 is the current bid.
All right, folks. I will throw in now this very mug. I'll wash
not
it
a
first.
mug like that. Why would you wash it? That's got gamer girl spit in it, Andrew. They might want to vape that saliva.
They might. This mug. I'll sign it too. I'll sign it in a whatever Sharpie appropriate color. I've never signed a law of self-defense mug before. This will be the only law of self-defense mug ever signed, and it's been.
And it'll have his DNA on it, which means you can leave it at a crime scene and we can watch Andrew argue to defend
I might bleach
himself.
it first. I'll probably bleach it first. No offense. But not only the shirt from the public defender's office, they ordered me to burn. That's working out. How's that working out for them? They ordered me to burn it. But you'll get this law of self-defense mug that I will sign if you're the winning bidder.
Well, I guess one of the things we've considered doing is drafting a response letter. I will live draft a response on Andrew's behalf.
We're definitely going to do that.
We're okay. I was going to make it at a goal. I was going to make it a goal at $1,200, but
fair enough. You're smarter than me. Yeah.
So if we get over $1,200, we will live draft a response. I will live draft with you, the chat, and of course you would be able to offer contributions to that.
You mean do it live? You would do it live.
Yeah, like I'll do it tonight.
Oh, I was talking about doing it behind the screens. Yeah, live. That's worth a bonus for sure.
Yeah, and then obviously, since I'm writing it on your behalf, you would be able to approve or disapprove of the letter.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't use profanity or anything like that. It'd be a professional letter. I might say "fuck off," you catch you next Tuesday, but I don't know yet. We'll see.
Nick, when it comes time to write a letter, it's going to be a very strongly worded letter. Indeed. Trust me. I'm right there with you.
KCC says, "Jesus Christ, Branca, how dare you be a masshole and demean the group I hate slightly more, Front Rangers, and make me pay another $20 that makes this nose strong clown tell you this."
Thank you.
Matthew Self has a message retracted. C. Goody says, "Bid 1776 for the memes and for the founding white bread niggas." Oh my God. Dude, did you see this? Did you see? Hold on.
No.
Just watch.
White bread ass niggas, man.
What the hell was that? What is that? A white bread ass? I'm not.
That's me. That's me. That was me that he was talking about.
Oh, no.
This is my favorite thing that's happened recently. That was funny.
Nick, I hate to say it. I'm not sure that's an inaccurate description.
No, I hate wheat bread. Right? Like
you look well. Okay, never mind. Let's
pale.
Proceed.
Tell me how handsome I am. Oh, we're over $1,200 now. We're at $1,205 on this thing. So let's
Hey, Steve Gosney is in the chat. Hey, Steve. He's still
Steve.
up. I can't believe it.
Oh my God. Oh, dude, do you know what I get to do coming up?
Oh,
I get to go to Mar-a-Lago. God. What happened? Your audio go out?
Would you believe that my laptop just took over with Siri and asked me, "What would you like to know about Steve Gosney?" And then said, "What would you like to know about Mom?"
Oh.
I don't want to know anything about Mom. Oh my God.
But he wants to know Steve Gosney's measurements.
Am I muted?
No, you're good. You're good. I can hear you. I'm muted. I think you're I'm talking. You should be able to hear me. This is on you.
Oh my God. I can hear you now.
Okay,
swear to
good.
God. Siri popped up on my laptop. And the first thing it said is, "What do you want to know about Steve Gosney?" I'm like, I don't I don't need any weird knowledge about Steve Costner. You know, I already know what I need to know. And then it said, what do you need to know about your mom? I'm like,
Was it Siri, the adult film actress, or was it Siri, the
oh
Apple
my
thing?
God. And the whole time it's cuts off my microphone. Oh, it's so goddamn creepy.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let's flip this letter. Let's get into this thing. So we've got this letter. It's from Jennifer L.M. Onstedt.
All right, so I should probably do the backstory.
Oh, yeah. Let's do the backstory.
Right. So in like April of this year, I do jujitsu, and my jujitsu coach calls me up and says, "Hey, we had a guy in the gym kill somebody, and he's poor, so a public defender is representing him, and they came to our gym and they asked us about his training, and I told them, my BJJ instructor said, I told them that you were a self-defense law expert and maybe they would want to talk to you." And so he texted me this, and I was like, all right, well, fine, I guess I'll just hang out and see what happens. And sure enough, about a month later, the public defender's office calls me and say, "Hey, we understand you never met our defendant. You don't know who he is, but you're an expert in this stuff. Would you be willing to provide a pro bono consult?" And so I said, sure. So I did that, like 10 hours of my time. And then they said, a month later, they said, "Would you come to court and be an expert witness?" And I said, okay, sure. Again,
Which
pro
is
bono.
Not something you normally do. Normally, you're just a consultant.
Exactly right. Normally, I just write a report, deliver it to them. But now I have to testify in court. All told, this would have been almost $50,000 in legal services that I would have billed. But it's an indigent client for the public defender. I did a pro bono. I wasn't offered a penny. I didn't ask a penny. It was for free. I did it for free. Partly because it was my gym where I practiced jiu-jitsu. It was only 30 minutes from my house. It wasn't too burdensome.
Right.
So I was happy to do it. And by the way, when I did it, I got this guy acquitted of murder, manslaughter, and negligent homicide. So
Did he deserve to be acquitted?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Well, that's less impressive.
Well, fair enough. But I can tell you, man, if I had not been there, he would have been convicted. So I was sitting in the courtroom listening to legal argument, and the judge ruled against the defense. And I got on my laptop right there in the courtroom and sent a text to the lead counsel on the defense and said, "Dude, you fucked it up. That's a wrong call. This is the proper legal argument for you to make." And then he made the proper legal argument, and we got that judgment reversed on evidence that would be admitted. So
nice.
There, in real time, I saved that fucking defense. And they interviewed the jury after the verdict. And the jury said, "No, that guy, that expert, Andrew Branca, no, that was decisive to our acquittal." So, sorry, motherfuckers. I'm not just claiming it out of ego. The jury said.
In fairness, I paid the jury to say that.
Well, maybe.
Look, perhaps. I wanted you were having a tough week. I wanted you to feel good.
Anyway, we get the guy acquitted, and I'm like, all right, cool. I spent 20 hours doing legal analysis. I spent 12 hours in court qualifying as an expert and testifying. I charged them not one. Can I curse here? Is that
all? Yeah, you can fucking curse all you want.
I charged the public defender's office not one fucking penny, and I got their client acquitted on murder charges. He would have spent the rest of his life in prison. And a week later, they called me. Well, they emailed me and said, "Attorney Andrew Branca, we're so impressed with what you did. We'd like you to speak at our annual conference in a few months." And I said, all right, the only thing I ask in return, because they weren't offering money, it's a public defender's office. I said, the only thing I ask in return is that if you make a recording of my presentation, I'd like to have a copy. And if you're not going to do that, just let me know, and I'll send someone to film me. I'll do it myself. And they said, "Oh no, Attorney Andrew Branca, we will make a recording and we're happy to share it with you." So that was like in June of this year. So in September, I have to go speak at this conference, which is fine.
Right.
But I live south of Denver. The conference is north of Denver. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna actually drive out there the day ahead. I'll book a room in the hotel so I don't have to worry about traffic. My own expense, $500, but that's fine. They didn't ask me to do that. I just chose to do that. I get to the hotel. I sleep overnight. I get up the next morning. I go to the meeting room. The AV guys are there. So I say, hey, here's my laptop. Can we do the microphone? Check, all that kind of stuff to make sure it's ready for my talk. But I, in the corner, this is a huge room, 300 people seating room, big ballroom. In the far corner, there's like 6 or 7 or 8 people doing some weird exercises on chairs.
You hesitated on people.
I don't know if they were men or women or what. I don't know.
It's never a good start.
They weren't obviously women, but who knows? But they weren't bothering me, and I wasn't bothering them. So I was like, well, the AV guys are here. I'll get my laptop hooked up to the projectors. I'll do the microphone check, all that kind of stuff. And then, like 2 minutes before I'm about to speak, this young black woman comes up to me and says, "Are you the next speaker?" And naively, I thought she was about to thank me for showing up to share my legal expertise for free.
When was the last time a woman walked up to you, just thanked you out of the blue?
I know. What an idiot. But instead, she said, I said, yes, I am the speaker. She said, I just want you to know. And then she went into like a 5-10 minute diatribe about how racist and sexist I am for interrupting their, she called it yoga, exercise program in the class. And I listened to this, and the whole time I'm thinking, can I be honest? The whole time I'm thinking, you stupid bitch. I'm supposed to give an hour-long talk in like 3 minutes, and you're disrupting me with this bullshit. I thought I came to a legal conference, not a fucking yoga conference. But I didn't say any of that to her. I didn't say any of that. She told me this whole bullshit about how, I don't know, I was committing microaggressions or whatever. So because
I'm about to commit some macroaggressions, bitch.
So because I was accused of committing a microaggression, I gave her a micro apology. I told her, well, I'm sorry you feel that way about it. And apparently that cut her to the quick. I wouldn't learn until 2 weeks later, but she went away.
So was that the woman who sent you the letter?
No, that was the woman who complained to the woman who sent me the letter. So of course I forgot about this little.
Right, because who cares? Like someone comes up and they bitch at you, and you're like, okay,
I'm about to share legal expertise with 300 public defenders. I'm not worried about the Karen who just complained about her exercise program at an annual public defenders conference. So I forget about her. I give my talk for an hour, and I'm done. I do 10 minutes of Q&A. I answer all the questions. I'm done. I go home. I go on my way. And 2 weeks later, I get this letter. And this is the letter, of course, that we're going to talk about tonight.
All right. So do you want me to read it? Should we trade off paragraphs? Like,
I think it would be better if you read it. If you read it fresh. I've read it like 5 times already. So.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So here we go. This is from Jennifer L.M. Onstedt, who is the lead state training director for the Office of the State Public Defender of Colorado. So by the way,
this is very important. She literally trains every public defender in the state of Colorado in how to defend their clients. She's the person that tells them how to do it.
which gets really interesting because on a note about defending the people who need defense. Sometimes, and this is missed in 2023, sometimes your defendant is racist or misogynistic.
You may not like them.
An asshole or homophobic or homophilic. I mean, like,
or even guilty.
Be.
They may even be guilty, Nick. They may be guilty.
Numbers would suggest that lots of them are. Now, that means literally 0 things. You may have to say in court on behalf of your client. You may have to do that because that might be a thing. You cannot be worried as a defense attorney about saying, because you have to be able to say the thing that your client may have said, and your client may have said, or they may have said,
white bread ass niggas, man.
Or they may have said,
retarded attorney.
Right? Like they may have said all of these different things. They may have said any of this stuff. They may have
Let's
said,
put it out on Twitter. I don't give a fuck if you're 6'3". I'll slap the shit out of you, fucker.
you're defending a judge. The judge may have
I
said
hope you die in prison as well.
all sorts of stuff that your defendant might have said.
Why are you gay?
Might have said that. They might have,
Nigga, you gay.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what they've said? They may have said, let's see what they.
But the people are retarded.
Or they may be very progressive and have said,
I just need you to be black and a female.
So there's a lot of different things that your defendant might have said. You cannot get to diversity and inclusion. You cannot get to these bullshit pseudo sociological garbage. Like you cannot wait or bog yourself down with this. You have to defend the client as they are, not as a gender studies major would want them to be.
You have to compel the state to prove them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's your ethical obligation to that client. It doesn't matter if they're guilty, if you think they're guilty, if you know they're guilty. That's not the legal question. The legal question is, can the state prove them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? That's their burden. You are compelled to make them meet their burden. That's legal ethics. And by the way, that's the mission of the Public Defender's Office of the state of Colorado.
And I want to point this out that you said something that I want to take minor umbrage with, but it is very minor. But people ask, well, how do you defend a client you know is guilty? And you said, even if you know they're guilty, but then you said the state has to prove them guilty. So this is, you're using there's two concepts here that have the same phrasing, but colloquial versus legal is very different.
Fair enough.
The state has to prove them guilty. You may know a set of facts that could lead to the conclusion of guilt, but they are not guilty until the state proves it. So you cannot know until a jury renders a verdict if your client is guilty. You can't, even if all of the facts add up to it, unless your client admits to the facts, admits guilt, and and makes a plea agreement, and they plead guilty. That is the only other time where your client is guilty. Until then, your client might not be guilty because the state might not have a critical piece of evidence to prove it.
Right.
It may not be able to admit evidence. Sorry, go ahead.
You had a lot of steps there. So the client admits, and there's a adjudication of guilt. But if a client came to me and said, "I'm guilty. I shot that guy. I'm guilty of murder," they don't know. They don't know if they're guilty of murder.
Like, you're not a lawyer. You're
right. Of course,
you're a retard who shot a guy. What are you doing?
To me, the client's not proven guilty, and there's a difference between evidence and proof. Evidence are like kind of the facts about what happened, and the jury gets to evaluate the facts. They get to decide what they believe is true or not true, and how much weight to give to it. Nothing's proven until the jury decides it's proven and returns a verdict.
Right.
So until a jury's returned a verdict, my client, whatever he fucking has told me, is not guilty of anything. He's presumed innocent until he's proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I don't give a shit what he said. Now, hopefully he only said it to me and he didn't say it to the cops. You know, that would be helpful. But, but I don't actually care if my client's guilty. I don't, in a kind of general sense, I'm not really serving the client. I'm serving the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States, that is my actual client. And the Constitution says, you fight for that client until the state has proven that client beyond a reasonable doubt. Once they do that and that client goes to prison, fuck, I did all I could. I don't feel bad about it. But until they do that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a shit what my client has said. My client is innocent under the law until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of a jury.
And it's true, because your client could come into your office and say, look, I've got to be guilty of murder. I scoped this guy out. I walked in, I made him sit down on his knees and put his hands behind his head. And I put my gun to the back of his head. And I said, I hate you and everything about you, and pulled the trigger and killed them. The execution style, just completely, he didn't have a chance. He didn't even resist. I just shot him. But you may go to trial and find out that was the Walmart employee that could not find the fucking molasses at Christmas time because they don't know anything about molasses and they deserved the execution because all you wanted was to get the molasses and go back to your mother-in-law's house so your family can make some fucking pies and cookies and all you want to do is get back on the couch and go back to sleep because women be cooking and women be talking and all you want to do is close your eyes and lay down with HGTV on the background because some people still have cable and you just want to sleep and not hear the women talk because their stories are insane and they cannot tell them in a cohesive way. Everything has branches. It's like a family tree and every fucking branch has a noose to a story that you want to kill yourself from listening to. That's what you want. Just give me the molasses so I can lay back down on the couch.
Because of course we all know molasses leads to rum and rum leads to Africa and Africa. Wait, no, never mind.
Dude, I legitimately, this happened. My wife and her mom and her sisters were they're making Christmas cookies one year. They're like, oh, we don't have any molasses. And I go to Walmart and I go up and down the sugar aisles, like the syrup aisles. Like I'm looking everywhere that molasses should be. I can't find it.
Where the the racist aisle is right over there.
I go up to an employee who is stocking shelves. I'm like, this person has probably stocked this area like 10 times at least in the past week. And so I go, hey, do you know where the molasses is? And they look at me and they go, molasses.
Aruba.
What is molasses? I'm like, dude, it's like dark corn syrup, man. It moves slow. It's a thick sugar. Like it's molasses. It's the only thing in the store that is called molasses. And they're like, okay, let me go ask someone else. And they walk around the corner to another stock person and they go, yeah, do you know where the molasses is? And they go, molasses.
You know, the sad part, Nick, is that when you and I were growing up, well, when I was growing up anyway, the people who were that slow were like the people who took like a bad hit in high school football or something. You know, they had a bad car accident and you were kind of like, you met them like 1 in 1,000 was like that kind of, oh, they don't know how to spell water. You know, they're just slow. Today, that person you're just talking about has like a master's degree in diversity and inclusion.
Dude, both Walmart
and $100,000 in debt.
But both Walmart employees who stock the baking aisle where the syrups and molasses would be, it turns out it was Christmas season. They were literally just sold out of molasses. Like they just didn't have any on the shelf that day. But both of the employees who stocked that area had no idea what the fuck it was. Like I'm like, I don't like it goes in like cookies and like some barbecue sauces and shit. Like, I don't know. It's just molasses, dude. Like they had no fucking clue. And one of these is like a 20-year-old. The other one's like a 50-year-old woman. I'm like, how do you not know? You're a woman. You're supposed to know.
Women.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Oh, Fagan's Law says, can prosecutors love the Constitution and everything you two are saying? Asking for a friend. Fagan's Law, look, I know this is a loaded question for you. And the answer is no. Prosecutors only love the government and licking boots.
Power. Sorry. They have all the power. They have infinite resources. They have all the time in the world. They're not sitting in a jail cell when they get tried. They're just going about their day. They have all the power over the defendant.
Timothy 208 says, one could almost argue that the Second Amendment is being debated in the opposite direction of how it was intended to be applied. It was intended to be an equalizer between the government and the governed. I want to put a little point on this because I think this is important.
The Overton window currently right now is shifting in favor of the Second Amendment. If you start arguing that the Second Amendment is to fight the government, it'll go the other way. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I happen to believe you're correct. But that's not the argument to make.
I actually will say they're not correct. And here's why. The Second Amendment is not to protect you from a tyrannical government. The Second Amendment is not a recognition of an individualized right to self-defense. The Second Amendment is not a recognition of a right to a hunting tool or a sporting rifle or a military idea. The Second Amendment recognizes your right to keep and bear arms just fucking because
you can. Right.
That's it. Do not get bogged down in these arguments that are like, because if you have the arguments, then there's tons of counter arguments and complications. Like, well, you're not going to shoot down an F-16 with your handguns. Like, well, okay, like, well, how are you gonna defend against a nuke? It's like we're at the point where our government is nuking ourselves. Like, that's not great.
Which is why after Heller, McDonald, Cateno, Bruin, we're still having these arguments because the Supreme Court gets wishy-washy. I agree with Nick 100%. The purpose of the Second Amendment is it's very clear. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. And the malicious stuff is just because we might have to fight tyranny. We might have to fight enemies. Of course, the Supreme Court, unfortunately, has decided, well, it's been productive, but they decided to focus on this self-defense aspect of the right to keep and bear arms. So that's where we are with Supreme Court jurisprudence. I think in the ultimate merit, Nick's exactly right. I get to have a gun for whatever fucking reason I want to have a gun. That's it. That's what the Second Amendment says. The Supreme Court says, well, you definitely get to have a gun for self-defense. And after that, it gets more ambiguous.
Right. And that was
bullshit.
And that was Scalia, one of the better conservative.
No. It was Scalia crafting a majority position in a very difficult time.
Touche.
So we have to keep that in mind. If Scalia was the
killed.
only justice and could write his own opinion without any need of getting other justices on board, I'm sure it would have been much different. Thomas too, and Bruin. I think it would have been a very different decision. But you have to get 5 folks to have a majority.
And 4 years later, Scalia would die with his head under a pillow in a hunting lodge, and his body would be removed and cremated before a sitting Supreme Court justice's body could be autopsied or observed by anyone else.
I don't think Obama feels bad about that to this day.
No, it's just amazing. The only thing, Merrick Garland, look, I'm going to say it on YouTube. Fuck it. Let's put it out on YouTube. Obama had Justice Scalia assassinated in the last year of his presidency for the purpose of tipping the scales by appointing Merrick the Figget Garland. That was the point of it. But he failed because that was the only good thing Mitch McConnell ever did, was prevent the appointment of Merrick Garland.
You were right, sir. You were right. He certainly looked like a superhero then, but we've seen what he amounts to today. He's just another twitchy Ukrainian war supporting. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to overreach.
Something awesome says, how much to sneak an unattributed, unbreaded quote into the letter? Because here's the first $20. We'll see how sauced we get as we go. Jason of TGA says, can Branca curse here with his complete lack of ego? Is that allowed now? Communism took over everything.
Yes, lack of ego. Where's the lack of ego? All right.
It was sarcastic. It was sarcastic, folks, Branca. He loves your ego.
We're now up to the shirt, right? I already promised to add the mug.
Yep.
How about when Nick and I orchestrate our letter, we will provide you with a original printed form of that letter signed by both of us directly to you.
There you go. Signed in ink, not a digital signature.
No, signed in ink. And I will physically mail it to you. My fingerprints will be in the envelope. You get the t-shirt. And if you want me to, I will sign the t-shirt. You get the mug.
And
if you want me to, I will sign the mug and the letter. Man, the letter that Nick and I are going to write to these motherfuckers.
And
so sweet.
If it gets to $2,000, we will get an ink pad and each mushroom stamp. I'm joking. We will not mushroom stamp the letter, but that would be funny.
Maybe an ultraviolet.
Oh my God. Jason of TGA says, do Branca's statements imply that Rachel Maddow may be innocent of looking like a freaky insect man?
No.
Nope. Guilty on all counts.
And folks, I want to remind everybody, this auction, can we put the auction up again? Is there a way to make people wear the link?
Let me get it up, Andrew.
This auction for the t-shirt, for the mug, for the letter. Oh my God, you guys will not believe. Can you imagine the letter that Nick and I will craft back to you've heard us speak about these issues before. Can you imagine the letter that Nick and I will craft back to the public defender's office? You'll get the original copy of that letter, signed by both of us, hand mailed to you.
We'll so disrespect Miss Enstedt that we will send her a copy and you the original.
Right. We're going to send her a copy. We're going to send the governor of the state of Colorado, the head of the public defender's office. All of them will get a copy. You will get the original letter. You will get the letter that literally Nick signed, and then I will mail it to him and I'll sign it. That's the letter you get, the original.
There is one more thing being included. A generous viewer from the chat named Stephen Gosney has said he will provide, in addition to all of what you're getting, he will provide one of his books of your choice.
Oh my God.
In the package.
That's amazing.
So there you go. There you go. So that is another part of this. This feels like the most QVC auction I have ever heard of. And
by the way, folks, keep in mind, not 1 cent of this is coming to me or to Nick or to Steve. Every cent of this is going to an organization that I can tell you fights vigorously for our Second Amendment rights, even in California, which is where they are. They fight in California. They fight at the Supreme Court. So it's not money coming to us. It's for our Second Amendment rights.
Right.
And you get to do it while poking your finger in the
don't finish that.
I'm not going to say that. In the eye of the Public Defender's Office of Colorado.
Steve Gosney has clarified, not only is it one of his books, it is a hardcover copy of one of his books.
Wow. Get hard, folks.
Get hard. Get hard. Okay, let's do, well, we're at an hour. We need to flop to Rumble and then let's read the letter. This will be perfect.
All right.
So here we go, guys. I'm going to read the super chats on YouTube. We'll go to, I was planning on reading the letter faster, but you guys have been fantastic. We've been riffing and having fun and drinking. And so we'll read the letter over on Rumble. Josh Peckle says, Branca, name a 10 and go. Name a 10.
My wife.
That is an excellent answer. This man knows how to play it. Assuming she's not listening, who else?
I don't actually pay attention to other women. So listen, folks, if I told you how often I had sex, you would hunt me down and kill me. So I'm living a very good life, just the way I am.
There you go, guys. Mrs. Branca is a 10. She is a delightful and lovely woman. Very cool. I love when we get to hang out as couples because my wife likes to talk to your wife. They get to have their own conversation and we get to have, a conversation about hilarious stuff.
So when we do these meetups, like in Nashville or Vegas, and I talk to Lady Emily about it, my wife, her only condition is that she gets to hang out with your wife. That's it. It's not. There's no cost questions. There's no hotel questions. It's like, well, am I gonna get to hang out with Nick's wife? And I'm like, well, fuck. I guess I better make that happen.
Better ask. Make sure she's coming. Usually she's there. So so it's always we love it. It's so much fun. Josh Peckle says, Nick, bring Lincoln Kane on, please. Who the fuck is Lincoln Kane?
No. No.
I don't know who that is.
So he's a guest often on Legal Vices, but he shows up. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he'll see this video. So I want to be polite. He's a nice guy. He's a successful businessman, but when he shows up on the streams, he's often so effed up that you can't have a productive stream because he just talks over. I guess he kind of does what I do. I don't know. But
I was waiting. I was like, oh, is he going to stop in this sentence? It's so funny to me.
Now I'm feeling bad talking about it, but
he sounds hilarious. I'll have to talk to him sometime. What business does he do? Oh, he's Australian? Never mind. I don't want to hear about it.
It's very complicated. I don't know.
The Ronan W says, Ricada, could you roast/congratulate my nephew Xavier for getting married? Yeah, I can. To Xavier, the nephew of the Ronan W. First of all, your uncle's name is gay. The Ronan W. Like, what is this? Is this some kind of weird weeb trash? I don't even know. But congratulations on getting married. I do love the institution of marriage. I respect the hell out of it, and I hope it is profitable, fruitful, and endlessly fulfilling for you. Now onto the reality of the roasting. Marriage is really fucking difficult, and it is really, really risky. And good sir, you are in for the wildest roller coaster ride of your life that pays by the foot. And well, I mean, sorry, that you pay for by the foot and will never ever go the way you think it should. But let me just say before you interrupt,
you're talking to, okay.
Before you interrupt, let me just say this. While all of the pitfalls, while all of the costs, and while all of the frustration you will have every single day of your life are true, there's a very real possibility that the rewards will far outshine them. If you have the right woman, you have the right mindset, and so does she. May you guys have many, many great productive years together. Cheers, brother.
Good fucking luck. All right. So
but you have a good marriage. Like your wife's awesome.
Right. Some people win the lottery. That's not a retirement plan. That's not generally good advice.
Right. Shut Up, I Can Cook says, thank God for men that do not fear women like Branca and Nick. God bless you both. Thanks.
I fear women.
I do. I'm afraid of them. You're not afraid of women in 2023?
Oh, well, first of all, I don't need to deal with women in 2023. I'm happily married. When I had to deal with women, sorry, folks, this may be shocking to you, but I did quite well with women when I was courting women. So that was a great fun time of my life. And now for the last 13 years, I've been very happily married, and I don't need to look at women anymore.
Excellent. Angry Bellsprout says, sorry for off topic. Haven't caught live in a while. We don't have a topic. With affirmative action being kicked by SCOTUS. It's not.
It wasn't kicked.
How are we still allowing universities to tolerate / accommodate Black affinity spaces and housing? Look, the only thing that they said was you could not use solely as a sole deciding factor race in admissions. And race in admissions is the sole deciding factor if race is given any weight at all, because the presumption would be a white student and another raced student that have the exact same credentials. One would get a boost from race, or one would get a minus from being white, and that would be the deciding factor. So any decision on race specifically is a deciding factor. Now, colleges have already, and while the decision was still being printed, had come up with the strategy of, we'll just have their personal stories indicate to us their race, and we will say we value.
Why is anybody sending their kids to college? Why would you send? What is your kid learning at college? Unless they're learning a really hard science that you need experts to teach, like engineering, physics.
If you're not being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a professor, or
and I would take lawyer out of that mix.
You have to have a 4-year degree, and then you have to have a subsequent legal education to be a lawyer. Like there are a couple states that have
they make it so you have to do it. Fair enough.
Right. That's all I'm saying. There are certain professions where you are required to obtain some level of education to do them. Outside of those, I honestly have no idea why anybody.
And you're spending an enormous amount of money, $100 grand, $200 grand for people who are 20 years old. They don't have that kind of money, and with the degree you give them, they'll never make that kind of money. So
Walmart,
it's like indenture. You know, they complain about slavery, and slavery, of course, is horrible and should never happen. And then you think about indentured servitude, like the Irish when they came over. What are they doing to these American college students right now that is very much different than indentured servitude?
They're just fucking them.
Take a shitload of money, borrow it, give it to us, these old administrators at these colleges, and we'll teach you a bunch of shit that will never enable you to earn a living to pay back this loan. And you're basically, for the next 20 years of your life, you're going to send us $300 a month. How is that not slavery?
So here's what I'll say about my undergrad degree is useless in the real world, but I like it.
Can't be worse than mine.
Literature and creative writing.
Oh fuck, same one.
But here's the thing, guys. Look, I actually legitimately love my undergrad degree, but it was not required for me to be who I am. It just forced me to do a specific level of work that I might not have otherwise done in that particular field. But everything else I did in that degree was useless. Here's the reason I would suggest anyone might consider going to college, although this is way different now than I graduated in 05 from undergrad. So this is a way different calculus from what I hear. But I met my wife there, and it used to be that 85% of marriages started in either college or a workplace because you were around people a lot. It wasn't the education, guys. It was the lack of responsibility, the dorm rooms, the ability to intermingle with several members of the opposite sex on a very consistent basis. That's the draw of college. Now, from what I hear, the women in college now are a little bit sus, and maybe you don't want to do that, but that would be the reason. Look, outside of, again, a degree that, or a job that requires, a profession that requires a degree, I don't think it's worth it. Walmart just removed the requirement for a 4-year education from its non-retail positions, from its corporate positions, except for a couple which do require, like if you're going to be corporate counsel for Walmart, obviously you have an education requirement, but most of them, they removed all of them because they found out they weren't fucking worth it. They're not worth it. They're not teaching you
Nick,
anything.
I just saw you respond tonight to that guy from Kenya. The guy from Kenya who was arrested because he pretended to be a lawyer. He argued
So
26 cases before the Kenyan Supreme Court, won every single one of those cases.
Every case.
Mother effer. That guy should just be handed like a gold-plated bar license to practice law. I mean,
his balls
the
should be
ultimate
cast in
test
gold
is-
and put on the justice's desk. Like, what? Why would you? They're like, oh shit, this guy's winning every case. We find out he doesn't have a license. Now we got to punish him. Punish him? You should punish yourselves for losing to an unqualified dude. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Someone said, Hubbleson says just proves Kenyan law is a joke. Hubbleson, let me mildly correct you.
No.
All law is a joke.
Right, correct.
The legal industry has created a system that requires adherence to a set of rules that are complicated for a layperson. But a layperson with good charisma, good argumentation, logic, and reading skills will perform just as well as pretty much any attorney with a good paralegal.
If he learns the magic words, you know.
If you learn the magic words, the paralegal takes care of the scheduling and all of the bullshit filings that you have to do, keeps you on track with deadlines and making sure you're at all of your hearings, that you're filing when you need to be. That's the grueling shit of law that no one wants to talk about. Going in court and arguing motions and arguing at trial is fun.
That's the fun part. I always tell people that. That's what I love doing. The kind of reckless argument stuff you can do in court where you're reaching for the boundaries of the law. But you know what sucks? What sucks is the paperwork that has to be delivered on a fucking particular day and done in a fucking particular way and fit within a fucking, oh my God. I'm the creative. Get some administrative person to take care of this.
Yeah. And that's, that's the difference between high profile attorneys and independent attorneys. A lot of times is that the high profile attorneys are at a firm that has the resources to have other people do those things, and they get to focus on the important part.
So I recently hired Chandler Remington to do some paralegal work for me. She was amazing. I wish I had the caseload to hire her first time, but that's what actually gifted lawyers. That sounds wrong because it sounds like I'm trying to suggest that
only litigators are gifted lawyers, which is not true.
There are people who are good at one end of the spectrum, one end of the art. I am an argumentative motherfucker. I'm really good at that end of that. If you're asking me to dot I's and cross T's, that's not my strength.
Andrew, I'm very timid. I'm not an assertive person.
I get that from you. So if I can have someone do the I crossing and the T crossing and all that kind of shit, and all I have to do is go into court and argue my fucking ass off, I win. I win a lot, folks. I win 95% of the time. But if I have to worry about fucking paperwork bullshit, it's a different mental attitude and skill set, and I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. I just want to do the stuff I'm good at.
I actually really like people. It's funny because I see people comment, like people who don't like me will comment on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, never taken anything to trial. First of all, not true. Never taken anything to jury trial. But some of the areas you practice law don't have jury trials, and I have done multiple trials in the family and custody area of law. And
in my work, I do not want to get to a jury trial. I want to avoid a jury at all costs.
But it's fine because they're like, oh, you've never been to trial. It's like, no, I've been to trial, just not jury trial. And all of those, I won every single one of them. And then I've argued several motion hearings in court. Most of my cases get dismissed out or settled because that's what most cases do. You don't want to be at jury a lot, or you don't want to be at trial at all a lot of times, because now you're fucking with chance rather than guaranteed outcomes. But that being said, I love arguing all those things. I hate drafting the motions. I hate filing the bullshit that goes with it. I hate dealing with fucking discovery demands and discovery deadlines and initial disclosures and all of the rules that you have. All of this shit takes hours and hours of time and just drains defendants' money for no reason. So
it's no fun. It's no fun. The stuff we like is the fun stuff.
Yeah. But the people who make the unfun stuff happen are as important, and some of them are great lawyers. But if you put them at a podium and they have to give a 10-minute,
they can't. Right, they're done.
They give a 10-minute summary. They can't do it. They will stutter. They will sweat. They're because not everybody's a public speaker, but some people are great at that. Now litigators tend to
not everybody. I would actually say not everybody is a warrior in a courtroom.
Yeah,
there are people who are warriors in the courtroom. They may suck at the administration, they may suck at the paperwork, but when they're in the courtroom, we've seen them. They're a lion. They're a champion for their client in the courtroom in a very profound way, in a way that the prosecution sees, the jury sees, the judge sees. And that person could not file a fucking motion for his entire fucking life. He just would, he would never be able to do it. But it's a different job.
They will sit there and you'll watch, like they will, when the other party is talking and delivering their argument or examining a witness, they will be laser fucking focused.
Right. Because they're thinking, and every moment, waiting. Every instant, every word the other side is saying in closing, they're thinking, that's how I'm going to fuck him. That's how I'm going to fuck that guy. I'm going to fuck that guy with that word. That's what I'm thinking. That's what they're thinking.
Dude,
that's the guy you want as your representative, but it doesn't mean he's good at paperwork.
I had a client who was a tenant in a landlord situation where they were a tenant in one room in the landlord's personal home, and the landlord wanted to evict them, but Minnesota's borderline communist, and so it's hard to evict people. So they concocted a story to try and justify a restraining order so they could have an effective eviction without evicting, because Minnesota eviction laws suck. You don't want to comply with them. They're horrible as a landlord, flat out. Having represented both sides, I would much rather represent a tenant. In this case, they had that, and then my client had unrelated old warrants, and they conducted a scheme to get my client arrested on an old warrant while serving the restraining order, so that my client, who would be arrested in a different county than the warrant was in, transferred to another county, would not see the restraining order in the time it would take for us to respond to get an immediate hearing. In Minnesota, if you have a restraining order, an ex parte request, the restrainee has 5 days to petition for a hearing. If you don't petition within 5 days, then you have to motion to vacate the order, and it takes 30 days. Well, my client was incarcerated, and they didn't give my client the actual restraining order.
This is why people hate lawyers.
Yeah, they said they served it. They said they served it on my client, which was kind of true. My client was being arrested. They showed them the document. They said, okay. They didn't get to read it, and they put it in the bag with their like underwear and filed it away. When my client was released from the arrest, which, by the way, my client was not charged with any of that. When my client was released from the arrest, we motioned to vacate because that was the first time they had seen the letter. And I went in there and we fucking destroyed them in court. It was so great. Not only did we win that, we actually won my client money, and we won the right to enter the property and retrieve everything my client owned with a police escort, and the other people being restricted from being in the property at the time. Like we had a total fucking victory. We just had to get in front of the goddamn judge. But that's the shit. Like that's the most fun stuff on the planet, was when my client, who's a literal like animal care person, like their profession was caring for animals. They had a fake story that my client kicked their dog. And then they tried to get someone to lie on their behalf. And I had them on cross-exam. And I'm like, so you saw them kick their dog? Kick the dog? And they're like, well, I didn't see it. I'm like, how could you not see them kick the dog? You're looking right at them. And they're like, well, I mean, and it was like, they didn't kick the dog, did they? Well, I mean, they motioned towards the dog. They motioned towards the dog, or they kicked the fucking dog. Did the dog yelp? Tell me what happened. And like, you just see them, like, because they're so uncomfortable lying. Like they were going to do it for their friend, but they just couldn't do it under oath in front of a judge. And they got fucked. Like those people got destroyed. It was great. God, I love that's the fun stuff of law. But most of the time you're not doing that. You're doing bullshit.
So I had a case where a young woman went on a one night stand with a dude, met a
Just
dude at
one
a bar.
night?
Yeah. And unfortunately,
ungrateful.
he tried to force himself on her. She took out a little tiny folding knife, stabbed him once in the chest, and killed him.
Oh,
killed
God.
him in a very dramatic way. His blood, she got his heart.
Wait a minute. I have the thing for him. Hold on. Here we go.
Beta.
Yeah, right. So he took that blade right to the aorta, and it looked like someone had taken a garden hose of blood to that.
So right up here, right?
Yeah, right here in the upper chest.
You're done.
He was dead. It took him probably 4 minutes to die. He was dead the minute the knife went in. And her father called me and said, "Listen, can you represent her?" I can't. I could do a legal consult. And he's like, "All right, I want you to do that." But they had to hire a local attorney. This was out of state. And the local attorney never called me. So I forgot about it. And then like 2 weeks before the trial, they charged her with murder. She was going to spend the rest of her life in prison without possibility of release. 2 weeks before the trial, apparently the father went to the defense counsel and said, "Listen, I'm making you call this Andrew Branca guy." So they did. I did my consult. I gave the report. I sent it to them, and they dismissed all the charges. She never went to trial.
Wow. Like, and sometimes that's what it takes.
Right.
KCC says, at Nick, how much to have your wife milk your DNA into the t-shirt? And by DNA, I mean snot rockets from that gonzo schnoz. We're already there. We're at $1,250 is the current bid. Jack
enough.
Sparrow says, I'm just here to buy Branca drink. Here's base takes on women. Now we're at hold on.
Oh, women. No, I don't have any opinions on that.
Whiskey Sour says, Branca, is there a brand OG gun you like over others for CCW?
For CCW. So I can only recommend what I currently carry, which is a SIG 365 XL with a Hollow Sun 507K green sight on it. That works very well for me. That's what I would recommend.
Guys, I have to announce, someone brought this up. There's 25 minutes left in the auction. The auction ends at 1 a.m. Central Time,
right.
Midnight Eastern,
Yep.
11 Mountain, and 10 in gay time. So make sure you get your auction in. We're at 12:50 now. If you want this, that's the rub. It is going to be over in 25 minutes. Dumbass says, please, Andrew, drink some water. You can't be this funny with a headache tomorrow. We need you to live another day so you can get drunk again. Contrarian says, as a government entity, isn't the Colorado Public Defender's logo public domain? If so, why not print and sell these shirts yourself, Branca? No, governments can own copyrights, actually. You do not have, like, government printed logos are not they're not free. They're not public domain.
Plus, it's gay. Why would I want to have a gay copyright? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Dumbass says, Branca, please follow my finger without moving your head. We've got a nice Stagmus test here.
I'm home, my friends. I'm safe.
Ismail Hania Gaming says, thoughts on California's ebony alert for missing blacks. Like, how do they keep doing this shit? That is so fucking funny. Baldo Gagger says, tell me you are going to out Karen this Karen and send this reply to everyone above and below this cranky chick. Maybe. And Angry Bellsprout says, never answered the question about black affinity housing / spaces, which is literally segregationist nonsense pushed by a state actor, aka universities. Okay, so but you asked the question under affirmative action being uprooted. Affirmative action was only uprooted in admissions, and it wasn't fully uprooted. It doesn't apply anywhere else. It's fully involved, and yes, minorities can push for segregationism because while race is a protected class, oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes white is not part of race. It's weird, but that's how they do it. Brad Thorne, Nick, can you tell the opposite side of eviction? I had a roommate paying no rent for months, claiming tenant rights, and I had to evict them. Well, the opposite side of eviction is if you're a landlord and you have a shitty tenant, all you want to do is have a gun and kill them. But you can't.
I wasn't going to go there, but
and when you do,
strictly speaking, you can.
When you finally evict them,
it just wouldn't be lawful.
When you finally evict them, though, they fuck up your property. They cause damage. They're nasty assholes. They'll bust the drywall out and they'll rip the pipes out, and you can't do anything about it but collect your cool like $700 security deposit for the $50,000 of damage they do. McCrae says, y'all realize the auction is ending soon, right? Yes, thank you. Scorpion Black Dragon. When you send your letter, don't forget the Colorado Bar Association and the appropriate ethics board citing the breach of contract for the tape.
I think the letter that Nick and I might write will go exactly to those people.
Paulie, yep. Probably not in the way we would want it to, though. Paulie says $2 for current thoughts on Sonichu. Oh my gosh, guys, Look, in light of the recent trademark, Sonichu wins again. I need to show something on stream. I will get it after the break. I'm going to go to the bathroom and get this thing. It came to me anonymously in the mail, and it is so fucking funny in regards to the trademark that I was not going to talk about tonight, but I'll show you. McRae says, I've spent a fortune on private school hoping to avoid indoctrination, which happened anyway. So now I'm discouraging college and advocating for trade school. And I think that's going to be more and more popular. College is becoming more and more worthless. Jason of TGA says, word magic, you say? Yes. All right. We are moving to Rumble. 25 seconds. Rumble exclusivity. See you there. We'll read the letter if we can get past our drunken rambling. Peace. Oh, go to Rumble, you bitches. Don't sit.
Please go. I'll be right there, folks. I'll be there. I'll be reading the letter, the actual letter.
YouTube's gay and wants your butt.